focusing and obsessing about changing somebody's mind, being like, you don't like dark-skinned Black women and that's why you don't like me. Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Justine Fulama and I talk about everything dating, relationships, and marriage. If you're new to this channel, thank you so much, first of all, for choosing to watch this video. And if you're not so new, hey girl, hey, welcome back. Before we get into the meat of this video, please make sure that you subscribe if you haven't yet. Hit that notification bell so that you know when I upload another video, and leave a like. If you like this video, make sure you like it so that YouTube knows just as well as you that this video is a good video. So today I want to talk about a topic that I really never touched on, whether on my blog or on this channel, and very little on social media, which is the topic of dating as a dark-skinned Black woman. As you can tell, I'm a beautiful dark-skinned woman, and growing up was hard dating as a dark-skinned Black woman. So I feel like it's a shared experience that only women who are in the same situation really understand. So I figured I have to share what I learned. And also, I want to share 3 intentional shifts that I made as a dark-skinned Black woman that helped me improve my dating experiences. But first, let me give you a tiny bit of a background information on me. I am of Congolese descent, so I call myself a Blurman because I was born and grew up in Germany. So I'm Black in Germany for the majority of my life, right? Growing up in Germany, I was not the only Black girl in class. I was the only Black girl in the school throughout my whole education up until university, where I was one of 3 Black students in the whole entire university. So you can imagine what that was like, right? My experience growing up really was that I was always the last one to get chosen, to get picked. And I don't really blame anyone for it because I grew up in the 90s. I'm 35 years old. So the 90s, the early 2000s, millennial is where I grew up. And during that time, the supermodel was the idea of beauty in the world, right? So the Heidi Klums, the Gisele Bündchens, all these women, beautiful blonde hair, beautiful blue eyes, and very slim, which is nothing from what I look like, right? So the boys, right, the young boys did appreciate that type of beauty and didn't really know what to do with me. And neither did I, because I just grew up thinking, well, I'm not desirable. Up until I actually moved to the USA in 2009 for the first time. That's when I suddenly was thrown into an environment where now people are checking for me, and I almost had to look like and be like, wait, you mean me? You're calling someone beautiful in this room and you mean me? Because before I never had that experience, and it definitely influenced how I dated moving forward. So all of my 20s, I always overcompensated because I thought that my beauty alone is not enough. So I have to do something extra in order to get the attention of men. And that held on for a long time. And I am not ashamed of saying that, because I do think that so many of us Black women, dark-skinned Black women, whenever we talk about how hard or challenging dating is, we're almost like judged, right? We're immediately called, oh, you're so not self-confident, you're jealous, you are, a pick me, whatever, because we're saying it. But there's no shame in saying, hey, I am self-confident, or I'm trying to be self-confident, I believe in my beauty, I thank God for how He created me, and yet it is challenging, it is hard, it is discouraging, right? Because it is. And I have lived with it for years and years and years and know exactly what you're going through. So if this is the same experience or similar experience that you have, then listen up, because I have 3 ways that dating as a dark-skinned Black woman can be improved for you. The first thing that I did to improve my dating experience as a dark-skinned Black woman is that I had to learn to go where I am desired. And I mean that literally. Like I told you in the beginning, is that when I moved to the US, I experienced being in an environment where my type of woman was desired. So moving forward, yes, I chose specific cities and countries where I felt like the guys here are checking for me, because it was very unhealthy for me to, for example, live in Germany where you are not the preference. So when you date on a dating app, you just don't get any hits or any matches because nobody is really into your type of woman. And again, it's okay to admit that, and at the same time knowing that you will be appreciated by someone one day, right? So I learned to go to cities and countries where black women where there are a lot of black women, where there are a lot of black men, where there are a lot of men who would appreciate you, right? So I moved to the US multiple times throughout my adulthood, especially Atlanta. It was such an amazing experience dating because obviously the city is black. But also moving to places like Holland, like the Netherlands, where in Amsterdam there are so many black people that it was really fun dating over there. Or I moved to, where else did I move to? I moved to so many places, honestly, but I moved to like Mexico and Colombia, where as well they have black people there. So I felt way more appreciated and desired than in other places. So the first thing I can really, really recommend is going where you are desired. If you're in a town, if you're in an environment where you don't feel like there's a lot of diversity, then that may be one of the issues why dating is not as beautiful or as exciting. So maybe do the same as I did. Go on Hinge, go on Bumble, go on Tinder. They have a passport feature where you can date outside of your city and swipe. That's how I found my husband. I was on the dating app in Texas while not even being in Texas at the time, and honestly that really worked out for me. Well, obviously it did. The second thing that I did to improve my dating experience as a dark-skinned black woman is that I had to learn not to focus on men that don't like me. I think it's so easy to get caught up in the half is glass empty than looking at the half is glass, the glass is half full, right? So instead of focusing and obsessing about changing somebody's mind, being like, you don't like dark-skinned black women and that's why you don't like me, why do you continue to focus on these men? They are allowed to have their preference, and if that is not you, cool. But where attention goes, energy flows. And I promise you, if you focus your intention on this, the energy that you will have is discouraging, disappointed, sad. All these things will not help you to date with excitement, with joy, with like this radiant energy that you need to attract someone into your life. So instead of focusing on all these guys that may not like you, whether it's a black man, whether it's a white man, whether it's a Latino man, focus on the type of guy that does like you. Focus on the type of guy that when he talks to you, you can tell that there's attention, there's attraction, there's desire, right? We need to get out of that habit of feeling like we have to work for somebody's attention. We have to prove ourselves, because that's what we do a lot of times, right? I saw a TikTok the other day about this woman. She was talking about AD from Love is Blind. Mind you, I did not watch the latest season of Love is Blind. As a matter of fact, I stopped watching Love is Blind a few years ago. So I do not know the story, but what she said immediately clicked, because she said that AD was getting that guy's attention by constantly to have to flaunt her body, right? And I think I saw the clip where she was basically at the altar and the first thing he says, like, body or whatever. And I feel like that was my experience too. I had to overcompensate by showing my body, by showing my beauty, because I just felt like I myself am not enough. And I think as a dark-skinned black woman, we need to stop feeling like we need to prove ourselves because we're starting at the bottom. It's not true, right? I always say this: beauty is not a flex, right? Beauty is not a flex. I've said this a million times on this channel and in my blog posts, that it was a lottery. You're lucky when you're considered beautiful, right? And honestly, in 10 years, the standard of beauty might switch again and you might fall out of that roster. So, really feeling like, oh, I have to overcompensate by changing my face, by changing my body, by always showing up parts of my body, or getting someone's attentions, using, like my body to keep someone, that is not going to help you. So rather than focusing on a man where you feel like you have to do all that, try to really hone in and understand the type of guy that likes you. In my case, I very quickly had to understand that because of my background, right? Being African, being German, I was attracting a certain type of guy that I could relate to on a spiritual level, but also on a cultural level, right? So my husband, he's Nigerian American. We relate on like our parents having to emigrate to the West to make a life for us. We relate on, some of the things growing up that are funny and not so funny. And we relate on, having to learn a language actively, or having to figure out how to keep our culture alive when we're surrounded by a different culture. So there's so many ways that you can relate outside of your skin color that you need to hone in with the person around you. And that also means paying attention to other races, right? I know for a fact that it is not as easy to switch from being attracted to black men and wanting to be with a black man to other races. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna tell you go date out of your race. I'm gonna tell you, be open to love. Instead of looking for someone that you want, like the idolization of being with a black man, try to appreciate men that like you. I saw a TikTok the other day, and I know I watch a lot of TikTok, but the girl said, my preference are guys that like me, guys that treat me well, that guys that make me feel special. That should be your preference, not the race. And the third thing that I did to improve my dating experience as a dark-skinned black woman is that I started to follow people that look like me. Okay, if you are a dark-skinned black woman, I know for a fact you know how beautiful it was to see Kelly Rowland in that Destiny's Child group. I know, and you can't tell me otherwise, that for a long time, she was the example of beauty in entertainment, right? Because we felt like, oh, she was so beautiful. She still got so much like accolades and great positive feedback from men, from people around her that were like, oh, thank God she can keep up with Beyonce, which is so beautiful and so amazing in her own right, but she's a certain type of woman that we could not relate to. So I started finding more people in that spectrum, right? Because obviously the last 10 years, maybe you're not checking as much for Kelly Rowland anymore, but I started finding YouTubers and Instagrammers that I felt like looked like me and that had a beautiful relationship, that had a beautiful life, because I wanted to remind myself that that's possible. So find people that you can relate to on your own, like looking like you, that have some of the things that you desire, not so that you can envy them or be jealous of them, but so that you can remind yourself that it is possible. Calling in love as a dark-skinned black woman is very possible. And if you're in a situation where you're feeling like, oh, it's so hard, I don't know if I will ever be desired, yes, you will. Always remember that God did create you in his own image. So the way you're created is absolutely beautiful, right? Fearfully and wonderfully made. So yes, there are men there are men out there that think the same thing about you. And just because you haven't met them yet, it doesn't mean that they don't exist. So your life is not in vain, dating is not in vain. It's just a matter of time, a matter of putting yourself into the right rooms, the right environment, and being your best self, because I believe, and yes, it's corny, but beauty comes from the inside and then it shows on the outside. So by following people that look like you, that have called in the love that you desire, the relationships that you desire, you're improving your dating outlook, which is then improving your dating life. So those are my 3 points on how I improved my dating experience as a dark-skinned black woman and eventually called in my marriage. But if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to talk about this topic more. And if you are dark skin black and you really resonate with this, then let me know down below what you are doing to change your dating experience. I think it will help not just me or you, but it will also help younger dark skinned black girls who are growing up not seeing anyone looking like them and feeling discouraged. Thank you so much for listening to this video. If you like this video, make sure that you like, give it a thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to this channel if you want to become part of the family. Until next week, guys, love you.